and then the second part that I played before goes with a D on your left hand, and a D and an F sharp in your right hand. Okay, and then you can just move your fingers to the right, E with your left hand, and E with your right hand, and an A flat with your right hand. So you see, you can just slide over. Okay, and then you're going to do a C sharp and an A flat with your left hand, and a C sharp with your right hand. And then lastly, you're going to do a D with your left hand, and a D and a F sharp with your right hand again. And then it repeats, but it's slightly different the second time. When you get to the end, you add on another note. So it's like this. I've got this sentimental heart that I beat, but I don't really mind that it's starting to get to me now. So that last note is you have an E with your thumb, and then you'll have an A flat with your index finger, and you'll have a B with your middle, or with your ring finger, and then on the left side you'll have an E also. Okay, so the next part is going to sound like this. My time is the answer to the question of mine. Okay, so to play that part, you start with C sharp and an A flat with your left hand, and C sharp with your right hand. Then you go to an F sharp with your left hand, and an F sharp and an A with your right hand. Then you go to a C sharp and an A flat again with your left hand, and a C sharp with your right hand. Okay, from there you go a D with your left hand, and a D, F sharp, and an A with your right hand. So it's going to look like this. Okay, then you just slide over again, and you do an E with your left hand, and an E, an A flat, and a B with your right hand. So it's going to look like this. Okay, and then you're going to do an A with your left hand, and an E, an A, and a C sharp with your right hand. So it's going to look like this. Okay, and then lastly, you're going to do an A flat with your left hand, and an E, an A flat, and a C sharp with your right hand. So it's going to be like this. Okay, so the next part is going to sound like this. And I'm sick of all my judges, so scared of what they'll find. Alright, so to do that, it's a lot of notes you've seen before. You have an F sharp with your left hand, and an F sharp and an A with your right hand. Then you go over to a C sharp and an A flat with your left hand, and a C sharp with your right hand. Okay, then you go to a D with your left hand, and a D and F sharp and an A with your right hand. Okay, and then you shift over to an E with your left hand, and an E, A flat, and a B with your right hand. And then from there you go back to a C sharp an A flat, and a C sharp. Okay, the next part will sound like this. But I know that I can make it, as long as somebody takes me home. Okay, so to play that, what you're going to do is, your left hand is going to be on F sharp, but it's going to be a lot farther down. It's going to be a bass F sharp. So one more down than you would normally go. And then with your right hand, you're going to have an F sharp, an A, and a C sharp. So it's going to be a little tricky, like that. It's going to be. Okay, and then next, your left hand is going to be on the C sharp, and your right hand is going to be on the C sharp, E, and A flat. So it's going to be like this. Okay, and then you're going to go to left hand on the D, and right hand on D, F sharp, and A, like you've done before. And then you shift over, left hand on the E, and then right hand on the E, A flat, and B. And then on the next note, you're going to be shifted over even more. Your left hand is on the A, and your right hand is on the A, the E, and the C sharp. Okay, so the last part I'm going to show you will sound like this. Every now and then. Okay, so this is a little tricky. The first note you're going to play, you played before. You'll have an F sharp with your left hand and an F sharp A with your right hand. Okay, and then this last part, your left hand will be on two different B's. One of them's a bass, and it'll look like this. And then your right hand will be on a B and a D over here. So it'll sound like this. Okay, and then you play that over again. And then you go to, you just shift over. So your left hand is on two A's, and your right hand is on an A and a C sharp. So it'll sound like this. And then the last note you're going to play, your left hand will be on two C sharps, and your right hand will be on a C sharp and an E. So it'll sound like this. And then after that, they start saying, well, have you ever seen the lights? And then it just... So, I mean, you've heard that before. That's the very start of the song, and it starts looping some. So, that's what I'm going to go over on this song. I hope it's been helpful. I know it's a little rough with me just starting piano, already trying to teach someone else, but thank you for watching, and hopefully after watching this you'll be able to play most of this song on the piano. Bye.